If you like to make edible models, you might find that making faces is pretty difficult. So I thought I would show you how I made this little sugar face. It's based on Baby Moana, but you can take the things that you learn here and adapt them to make any sugar face that you like. So what can I say except you're welcome? See what I did there? Okay, so I'm starting out with about 40 grams of Saraceno modelling paste. I have mixed rose beige with brown to get this skin tone colour, and I've kneaded it until it's nice and soft, and then smoothed it out into a ball and then pushed it in where it would be the temples. This gives the look of chubby cheeks at each side of the face. Next up, you want to use one of your modelling tools to press in round about the centre of the face. What this does is it pushes the bottom half of the face out, so you've got a little bit of bulk that will be your cheeks. I'm then going to use my fingers to press in where I want the eyes to be, gently. You can see here that it's sort of sticking and creasing. That's because the paste was too warm. Really, I should have left it a little bit, and that's what you should do, but I was rushing. So yeah, just gently or you will deform the shape that you've made. I'm going back with this big balling tool because it was quite warm and it was sticking to my fingers. I'm just defining where the nose bridge would be and smoothing it off. This is one of my favourite parts of making this face, and it is creating those chubby cheeks because she's a baby, so she's got that chubby look. So I've got this cone shaped modelling tool and I'm using it from the centre and I'm rolling it out to the side until I feel I've got these nice chubby cheeks on each side, and then the mouth will go in the centre of that. For the nose, I'm simply sticking on a very small piece that I've rolled into a smooth oval. I haven't weighed this part because it's so small, just use what you think fits best. Now I'm using the flatter part of my Dresden tool and I'm pushing lightly where the mouth would go to create a chin underneath. And I'm back to the eyes. I've got the FMM balling tool on the smaller end and I'm pushing that in to make eye sockets. The hole that you make for the eye sockets should only be slightly bigger than that small end of the balling tool. Now I'm going back with my modelling tool and I'm flattening the bottom of the eyes out. So next up, I'm filling the eye sockets with white to make the eyes. These are 0.20 in weight if you've made the eyes about the same size as me. It's always a good idea, regardless of what weight they are, to weigh them and make them the same. It's not always exactly the same, but I think it helps. I just find sometimes if you don't weigh them and get them similar, then you can have one eye that's sort of bulging. You can go back and forward lots of times, so that helps me. So I've smoothed out the eyes in the sockets, and now I'm moving on to make the mouth. I've marked where I want the smile to start and end with my Dresden tool, and then I'm taking a really sharp paring knife. You can also use a craft knife, and I'm just going to cut along the line, and I'm going to open the mouth with my Dresden tool. So I'm using the flatter end of the Dresden tool to smooth out where I've cut that line, and then I'm going to put the Dresden tool inside and open up the mouth area so that I can put in the tongue and the teeth. I hope you're enjoying the video so far, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. You need to be quite gentle here. You don't want to squash where you've just opened that mouth because it is quite fragile. But you then go back with your Dresden tool and just smooth very, very gently against that top lip, and that will create a top lip. And then I'm just hooking under that top lip and pulling it up a little bit, and that's going to bring out the face round about the nose area to create a good shape. Smooth everything off really gently, don't create big luscious lips. She's just a baby, she doesn't have a big pout. So I'm moving on to the eyebrows now. I've rolled out a long sausage of brown paste. What I tend to do sometimes is roll it out, get the shape that I want, and then find when I've put it on that I'm not happy with how it looks, and that's usually because there's too much paste and it's too thick. So what I've done is I've started working with it. I'm trying to get the shape of the eyebrows to give her the expression that I want, and then I've realised it's too thick. So I've taken it off, taken a little bit away from the amount that I was using, and I've rolled it out again, and put it back on. So as you can see, it's taking up the same amount of space on the face, but it's less paste, so it's not going to be as thick, and that'll look a little bit better. I'm going back and forth to looking at the image that I'm working with to get the shape that I want that's going to give the expression from what I'm copying off the image of Moana, Baby Moana. And she has her eyebrows sort of lifting towards the middle of the face. And then I'm going to go in with my knife and my Dresden tool just to give it a little bit of texture, sort of hairlines. But I wouldn't go crazy with this because too many lines will make it look like really hairy, furry eyebrows. And again, we just want her to look like a little cute baby. She's not got, you know, big caterpillars on her face. So I'm going to work on the eyes now, giving them the colour and the pupil. So I'm starting out with the iris. So I've got brown modelling paste. I've rolled it out really thin, and then I've got a really small circle cutter. I have a little collection of circle cutters. I think there's 7 of them, and I always just pick out one, try it against the eye, see how big it is, and if I think that's about right, and just go back and forth until I get the right size. You don't want it to take up all the space in the eye and you wouldn't see any white, but you don't want it to be really small or it would look strange. So I've just put them in place with a little bit of water. You can also draw this on just with edible pen or brown paint. I wanted to do paste in this one. I find it's easier to make sure you get the right shape. But looking at the image, I wanted to give it a little bit more dimension to the eyes rather than just being flat paste, because she's such a cute character and she's got so much character in her eyes. So what I've done is I've got a little bit of edible black dust that I've mixed with the dipping solution. And I've made it quite watery because I don't want it to be really thick black, and I'm going around the brown paste where I've just put the iris, and towards the top right I've put a little bit of the black thicker than where I've put it anywhere else, and then I've just lined the rest of the brown paste with the black paint as well. And the idea is just when you look at an iris, if you were to Google eyes and look at them close up, they've lots of different colours in them, they're not just one flat colour. So it just gives it a little bit of a darker colour around the edges. And now I'm going to put in the pupils. So I've taken one of my really small circle cutters. You can almost not even see it. They just look like little dots on the mat. And again, they just get stuck on with a little bit of water. I'm now going to put the nostrils in the nose, and I'm just going to support the nose on the face so it doesn't push off with my finger, and I'm using a Serra K2220 modelling tool, and I'm pushing that in gently and straight. It would probably also have been a better idea to put those in before I'd made the mouth and the lip, because you are at risk of pushing the tool against the lip that you made earlier. But yeah, if you're careful you can avoid this anyway. So now I've got that black edible dust paint again, and I'm painting the inside of the mouth black. This just makes it look dark in there, and then we're going to put in the tongue and the teeth. I'm leaving the black paint to dry before I put anything in it, otherwise any paste that I put in there will end up black. And I'm working on the bottom lip. So all I'm doing is using the smooth part of my Dresden tool, and I'm pushing it down very slightly where I want the lip to stop at the bottom of it. And then I'm doing that all the way around until I've got a bottom lip, and just smooth it and work on it slowly and gently until you've got the lip that you want. I've got that black paint again now, and I'm just lining the outside of the eye. So this is going to be basically your lash line. So I've got a really thin brush. This is a 1000. You want to go as thin as you can get, and you're just going to put a black line around the white of the eye and then draw some lashes with that black paint all around the side of the eye. You could use paste for your lashes, but for this character she's got lots and lots of tiny little lashes, so I felt like painting it would look a little bit better. It's not easy painting lashes. Sometimes you feel that the head that you're working on is not at the right position, so just feel free to move it around, turn it on its side, lift it up, do whatever you need to do to get it in the right position so that you are making it look exactly how you want. Don't try and stretch your arm all over the place and then not get it right. Sometimes it can feel like trying to write with your left hand, or if you're left-handed, trying to write with your right hand. So if you've not seen it before, this is my water brush. I like to use this quite a lot. You've probably seen it in other videos if you've watched some of them, which I hope you have. I've got everything from Minnie Mouse ears to Xbox controller cakes, so check them out. I like to use the water brush to just go back and make sure that the lashes are all the same line. So I'm going back again, I'm working on these eyes again. I just think that's where all the character comes from, it brings it to life, so it's worth spending the time. So I've got a really fine brush again, but this time it's a shorter brush, like the length of the bristles are shorter than before. And I've got some brown paint, and then I've went back and made it really light brown with just adding some white edible dust to it. And it's just, again, putting some highlights in. I'm going to give her her tongue now. So I've got a little bit of red and a little bit of pink, really small amount, and I've weighed it to be 0.12 grams. You can't see it on the screen there, which is really annoying, but yeah, that's what it should be. And then I just want to pop it in on the bottom. You need to be really careful here, because if you move it around too much, it will pick up that black dust colour, and then the tongue will be black. So I've put it in place, I've made sure I'm happy that it's not going to fall to the back and it's the right size, and then I just put the water brush underneath it, so that leaves a little bit of water to make it stick, and then pressed it down so lightly with the Dresden tool, and that sticks it in place. So now I'm painting her lips. I want a really light colour for this, because if you use a darker colour, if it's too bright or too dark, it's going to look like lipstick. And Baby Moana wasn't wearing lipstick. So this one is Rainbow Dust Strawberry, and against this skin tone it looks really light and natural. But if you were to use this on, say, a rose beige skin tone, then it would look a little bit darker. So I'm cleaning up that edge with my water brush, and then I'm just going to touch the inside of the top lip with the water brush so that I've left it just a little bit wet, not too much, just to stick the teeth on. So here I've got an absolutely tiny piece of white Saracino modelling paste. I did try and weigh this for you, but it was so tiny that it didn't even register on my small scales. So basically what you need to do is get a piece of paste, flatten it against the mat with your finger gently, you don't want it to stick, and then just use your knife to cut so that you've got sharp edges all around. You don't want it to look rounded. And then I went back and forth on this so much, it honestly did not take as long as you're watching. It took about 3 times as long to get this right. And what I found was the easiest way to go about it was to use these little tweezer things, and just pick the paste up, place it against the area that I've wet earlier with my water brush, and then they should stick in place. It may be that you are a little bit better with your hands than me and you can just pick it up with your Dresden tool and put it against it, but I found that my hand was shaking a little bit and then it would drop down. So yeah, those little tweezers were great for that. So once the teeth are in place, I'm just going to give her some warmth to her face with the edible dust colours. So this is the strawberry again, and I'm just using a fluffier brush. This is my favourite brush for dusting blush and colour on the face. So I've put most of it on her cheeks, but I'm also brushing it a little bit on her forehead and on the bridge of her nose. This is my favourite part of making a face. It's the last part, and I just put the highlights in. So get the tiniest balling tool that you can find, dip it in some white food colouring, and you just dot it against the eye where you want the highlight to be, and it just gives it some life. And that's the face pretty much done. Once I was finished with the face, I put it on a body that I had made to look like Baby Moana as well, and I just added some hair. Whenever you're adding hair to a face, it's always a good idea to leave the face overnight to set a little bit, because otherwise you can really squash all your work while you're working on the hair. So yeah, I just added some brown paste on for the hair, and I'm using my Dresden tool to put in lots of hairlines, and I'm making it flick back the way as though the wind is blowing her hair behind her, if that makes sense. Yes, I just used the veiner side of my Dresden tool and put lots and lots of hairlines in, and then I went back with my little nail scissors that I only use for modelling and cakes, and I just cut it right down because it was too long. When I trimmed the hair shorter, I then went back with the nail scissors and just cut up the way to make it look like separate strands so that it wasn't just a straight line, and then I added a little piece on the front to look like a sort of fringe, and little small pieces like strands of hair just to give the extra detail. And then I just added some ears. and she was pretty much done. So this tutorial was just for the face, and I hope you found it useful. You can definitely apply what I've done here to making any sugar face. And I would really love if you would subscribe to the channel, because there's lots more modelling tips and projects that I'll be uploading, and there's already some content on there that I think you'll find really useful. So yeah, please like and subscribe and comment what you think I should make next. So to finish off, I'll just show you how the model turned out when it was finished. But I did add the arms onto the model. I gave her a shell and a shell necklace and some flowers around her. So let's compare. If I was to do it again, I think I would make the eyes bigger and I would make them flatter at the bottom. But what do you think? Does my model look like Baby Moana? And if you make this, then please tag me in what you do. I'm at Any Excuse Cakes and Bakes on Instagram and Facebook.